It's Sunday morning and getting a little warmer, thankfully. I was going to do this video earlier in the week, but with the yen carry trade kind of taking over, I kind of like pushed it off, and then news came on Friday, and I think I'm going to do this video. Now, one of my main narratives from the beginning is that America no longer has a capacity to maintain the system that we set up, designed, owned, and controlled since World War II, okay? And this system was mainly supported by our Navy, all right? Because of our Navy, we were able to enforce the system that we put together, which was basically, look, people, you can trade anywhere you want as long as you don't mess with us. That was it, okay? And people did that. But now times have changed and we're changing, and as you can see, we're putting on tariffs on everybody. But let's talk about why it's happening. As everyone knows who follows this channel, I believe that Trump is an accelerator. That's it. There's nothing new here. But let's go over what's really happening to us. So first, I will post this article at the bottom so that you can read it yourself. Now, this was written by a gentleman named Jonathan Panter, and he was in the Navy, did 2 tours on his ships, but he's an expert at forward power projection. Basically, we send out a battle group, and the battle group is our projection of military power, all right? And as we start this, I want to remind people that military people say that our Navy against the entire world's Navy is 9 times more powerful. The second most powerful Navy is Japanese Navy, and they're our ally. And the third most powerful one at this time is probably England, but China's catching up and we'll see why. So if you took the 3 of us, the allies, together, if we're allies anymore, we're about 12 or 13 times more powerful than any Navy in the world, okay? So this was our power projection. Basically, what Panther is saying is that we have developed this strategy where we are always at a forward stance with our battle group. So in other words, we send them out. And his argument is we can no longer do that. Our ships are not being maintained. Our sailors are exhausted. If we remember a couple of years ago, and he mentions it in the article, we had 2 ships hit over in one of the bays in Japan. And when it all came down, they fired the captains, but basically the men and women on the ships were exhausted and the ships were not maintained correctly. And you can go through there, and in the second paragraph here, he says, naval forward presence remains popular with foreign policy elites and the military brass. But he's hoping that Trump comes in and that he'll change this stance. Naval forward presence, the practice of maintaining combat credible naval force worldwide to deter adversaries, reassure allies, respond to crises, and perform basically police work, is basically ruining our Navy, all right? He says that 1/3 of our Navy ships are deployed all the time. This is the greatest proportion in history, right? So this is no messing around. And why is this important? And you can read all this, and again, I will post the article. Because we always maintain a forward presence, we couldn't maintain our ships. And as you read through the article, you'll see that we hope to catch up with our maintenance by 2030. The Biden administration has put a lot of money into this and a lot of money into shipbuilding, but ships are not built in a day. And so our maintenance will not be cleared up until 2040, 15 years from now. And new ships coming online will be basically 2050. So we have the Ships for America Act, which is to restore our shipbuilding capabilities, which we're going to talk about in a minute here. But what he is saying is, listen, by always being forward, our ships are not being maintained, so we get less and less ships. We're down to 272. We have it in our pipeline that will be back up at 300. But basically, we've gone from 1,250 in 1946 down to, remember when Reagan ran, for old timers like me, he ran on the 600 ship Navy. We were 400 just like 6 years ago, and now we're down to 272. We don't have the ships. And what he says is this: there's two ways that you can look at how to manage things. Either keep everything in, keep our ships close to home, maintain them, and build the capabilities to fight a war, or to have ships as policemen around the world where we can't maintain them or people get too tired. And as he says in his article, we are going to go to war. We are going to lose a lot of ships. And he says, and right now, we are not in good shape. So he's hoping that, one, we develop a new foreign policy where we're not policing the world, but we're husbanding our capabilities until we actually need them, so that then we can fight the war, which will be a tough war. So who are we going to fight it against? Well, everyone believes it's China. And when you look at shipbuilding, basically China is about 50-some% of the market. Shocking, right? Then comes South Korea, then comes Japan. You can see the USA way down there, number 14, okay? So we're the quote-unquote greatest naval power in the world, and we don't do much shipbuilding. When you go to Perplexity, you'll see that China's shipbuilding capacity is estimated to be 232 times greater than that of the United States. The PLA Navy is expected to have 395 ships by 2025, 435 by 2030. In contrast, the U.S. Navy had 292 force ships in 2025 and projects to be 290 by the fiscal year 2030. So in other words, we're not building them remotely as fast. You can read through this. The numbers are not pretty. We do not have the capacity to build the ships. So what does this mean to us? Well, we're threatening everybody. And right now, a lot of our military people do not believe we have the ability to back it up. And we're still much stronger than everybody, but it's rapidly changing. And fact is, I saw something, there's a rumor now that Japan may build our next 2 aircraft carriers. Think of that, right? What days are we in and this happened? So, look, the world that we set up, as we say, we call the great central bank financial world, from 1946 to what I say 2019, is over. And our ships are now under-maintained. Our sailors are exhausted. They're constantly policing the world. A great example is the Houthis. When the Houthis started to attack, we sent 2 battle groups, one from the United States, one from the China South Seas. And for the first time since 41 or 42, we did not have a battle group in the China South Seas for a couple weeks until we got another one out there as fast as we could, okay? So it is affecting our abilities, and we really need to rethink this. And we had some news on Friday. So the first thing, Trump is proposing new ship fees to challenge China's maritime might. He wants to put fees on every Chinese ship, regular ships, that are moving goods around the world, or especially to America, put a fee on that, which, by the way, is more money for us to pay. You can read it yourself what they're saying. This is one of the things that they're proposing to offset China. The last thing we're proposing is getting rid of the Jones Act. If you go back and look at the Jones Act and look at how it affected American shipping, truly may be one of the worst laws ever passed by the United States. So, here we go, people. What do you think we should do? Like and follow, and certainly tell me in the comments.